there, and happy Monday, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on UpNorthLive Unscripted at 6:30. I am Maya Engel, live in our digital studio, and I hope you all had a wonderful weekend and are ready for the week that comes ahead. So let's turn things over to our meteorologist, Joe Charlevoix, for more on the weather for the week ahead of us. So, Joe, I know today we had a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings in a few different counties around northern Michigan. Are those still in effect right now?
Yeah, so I'm just looking right now. Actually, it's the one from Montmorency County, which is the only one we had in our area, that has expired as of 6:30.
Okay.
That storm has weakened. But there was a storm, Maya, that was that storm that did produce some damage in Antrim. In Antrim County, we had some power lines down. And then at Otsego Lake State Park, south of downtown Gaylord, thankfully missing Gaylord itself, they're setting up for Alpenfest.
Yeah.
But we did have trees down, a tree on a home. We had trees uprooted, power lines knocked over. And I know Audrey Boucher, our reporter, is on the way there. She's going to get some more information on that. Of course, we'll have that tonight at 11. But things should start calming down overnight tonight, it looks like.
So any chances for rain the rest of the week?
Yeah, a little bit here and there. Wednesday, we actually may get the remains of what was Hurricane Beryl coming up here. I don't think we're going to get a whole lot out of that. We'll be on the northern fringes of that, but possibly a little rain on Wednesday with that. And then if you've been waiting for warmer weather, looks like a lot of 80s late week into next weekend. So we're going to kind of warm up a little bit too.
And Joe, you'll have much more on that in Maine weather after our first commercial break. So we will touch base with you again then. But let's start off with our question of the day. Should the state of Michigan spend more or less on EV infrastructure? As of right now, 19% say spend more and 81% say spend less. Now, if you want to vote on our question of the day, you can just scan that QR code on your screen right now to let us know if you think the state of Michigan should spend more or less on EV infrastructure. It looks like on our Facebook post, we have about 288 comments. I will read a few of them, but if you want to see all of them, you can go to our UpNorthLive Facebook page. But a lot of people, of course, based on the poll results, this already shows that a lot of people are saying less. Carrie says spend more. Every EV on the road lessens the demand for gasoline. Gina says less or none at all. Stephanie says less. Government should stay out of it. Let's see. A lot of people are just commenting less. Doug says less. It's not the future. It's just not feasible, nor is it earth friendly. We should be focusing on hydrogen. Jennifer says they have already spent more than they should have. Let's see. Some people are saying more, spend more. Jaron says, love driving my EV. So, of course, there are those people, 19% of people think that the state should spend more, but a lot of people are saying less. Now, the reason why this is our question of the day is because today, Consumers Energy announced plans to power 1,500 fast charging locations for electric vehicles in the state by the end of the decade. So it's part of Consumer Energy's transportation electrification plan that the company is filing with state regulators right now. The energy provider, they actually acknowledge what they called naysayers and pointed to successes in residential and business EV programs, vehicle charging at night that helps the electric grid, and offered a plan for new rebates for battery-powered public EV chargers. Now, we do have Brian Wheeler with Consumers Energy joining us right now. However, it does look like I'm gonna just try this. It looks like his camera may not be working, but let's just bring him in and see if we can chat with him a little more about this announcement from Consumers Energy. Doesn't look like it's loading. So we're going to kind of switch gears a little bit. I am going to try to touch base with Brian to see if we can talk with him a little later in the show. But right now, let's turn things over to another main story that we are working on here in Traverse City. And that is if you happen to drive on the Grandview Parkway. Well, the past couple of days have been really nice because construction of the Grandview Parkway was paused for the Cherry Festival and whatnot, but construction did indeed pick up again today. And of course, Monday morning commutes are never fun. But if you were driving on the Parkway this Monday morning, it probably felt a little worse than normal. I know a lot of people were at standstill traffic for a while, and it took people a lot longer to get to their destination than they originally probably hoped. So Mark Gillette has more on what you need to know if you happen to drive on one of our area's busiest roadways.
We get done, we expect that we're going to have decades of good road to enjoy.
But in order to get that good, enjoyable road, sometimes drivers, despite MDOT's years of planning and public announcements, have to deal with delays.
This is a really busy quarter, probably the busiest in northern Michigan.
MDOT is calling this Segment 2 of the $25 million Grandview rebuild. Segment 1, which wrapped up a week early, is back open to traffic. This morning, crews from Elmers, the city, and MDOT launched this portion.
It is also rebuilding, so underground utilities, rebuilding the roadbed, rebuilding the pavement, curb, gutter, everything from curb line to curb line.
The work that has to be done, pretty similar to Segment 1, but traffic flow will be different with this work. No detours with this segment.
During this first phase of Segment 2, we're going to have all east and west traffic on the north side of the road.
Half the lanes of traffic meant longer travel times and some tough situations with turning for some drivers today. But MDOT says they consider all the possibilities in minimizing the impact. And day one of any project often is the most eye-opening to drivers.
The first week of any traffic change is going to be the most challenging. But we fully expect, as it was with Segment 1, that people will choose alternate routes. If they don't have to use the parkway, they may not.
There will be an around-the-clock blitz to get this segment going. It's a big project with a lot of moving parts.
People who are driving past are going to see that progress right away. Pavement removal should be done or nearly done by the end of this week.
As with any of their projects, MDOT is constantly evaluating the traffic flow and willing to address situations that could be improved upon. In the meantime, they ask for a little understanding from drivers and to keep a perspective on what could be the end result.
Nice, smooth pavement, more convenient, safer crossings for pedestrians and bicyclists along the route. So we're hoping that people are looking at this as a glass half full situation with some good news yet to come.
Again, that was Mark Chalette reporting. And so this phase of the project is expected to be completed by Labor Day. So after that, MDOT says they will shift traffic with the same pattern to the southern lanes of Grandview Parkway once those are completed and start work on the north lanes. And the project is expected to be completely done by mid-November. Okay, we are going to take a short break here on Up North Live Unscripted. When we come back, we will check in with Chief Meteorologist Joe Charlevoix and have much more on the forecast for the rest of the week. So stick around. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Up North Live Unscripted, everyone. Before we check in with Joe, we are going to first bring in our friend Brian Wheeler with Consumers Energy. How's it going, Brian? Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for adjusting as we had some technical problems, but I'm here.
Yes, and that's all that matters. So we're happy to have you here. So, Brian, the big announcement from Consumers Energy today was plans to power 1,500 new fast charging EV chargers around the state by the end of the decade. So, I'm just curious for people who maybe think, well, there's already, a few charging stations around the state of Michigan, but I think most people think that EV charging takes place in people's homes. So, why is it important to have these public charging stations?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think this is a good snapshot in time. If you think about in the last 4 years, we've seen the number of EVs in the communities that we serve have more than tripled. So there's been a lot of growth already. And looking forward now for the rest of the decade, we think there will be a lot more growth. You're right that if you own an electric vehicle, it's different from a gas-powered vehicle, the one we're used to. We're not driving to the gas station usually to fill up. We're powering our batteries in our vehicles at home at night. And so when you wake up in the morning, your battery's fully charged, you're on the road. But there's still that sense of people need that confidence. You're going to travel for family vacations, for example, maybe from the north to the south part of the state, traveling east to west for work, for example. And so for a lot of people, they've signaled, they said that we really still need that public charging in place, that fast charging, so that when you make those long road trips, you have the confidence, you have the power you need.
That makes sense. And do you know how many public charging stations are already in the state of Michigan?
Yeah, that's a great question. Right now, I can tell you this: the Consumers Energy has provided rebates and incentives to help 130 plus fast charging locations that are here today or in the works as we speak. When you think about different sort of shapes and sizes and power abilities of different charging stations through other means, you're well over 1,000. There's actually a website and an app called PlugShare that a lot of EV drivers use to help them find those charging locations. The fast charging ones are really important because that's fast charging, 20 to 30 minutes, and you get your battery back from a low power state to nearly full. And so that's really what people are looking for. That's the closest analogy to a gas station. The network has been growing a lot to really serve those needs. But you think about if we're at 30,000, 40,000 vehicles in our communities today here for Consumers Energy, we're looking at 500,000 or more by the end of the decade.
And you mentioned that Consumers is offering some new rebates. What do those rebates include?
Yeah, we try to really meet people where they are. There are a lot of different needs when it comes to electric vehicles. Charging at home, rebates for your home needs in your driveway, for businesses that want to electrify their fleets, those public chargers that we're talking about. So we're actually looking at another wrinkle on that, which is to have chargers that are powered by batteries on site. And really what that allows us to do is get a lot more chargers in place more quickly. We're going to have those needs to meet. And then also those chargers can draw, even if you're using them in the middle of the day, they can draw from power that's been put into the batteries at night, which is really the best time to be charging because it's more affordable then, you have less strain on the power grid. People get concerned sometimes that there'll be enough power. As we work with drivers and encourage them to see the benefits of charging overnight, the grid has all the power we need to fit all people's needs.
And then where will these new 1,500 fast charging locations be in the state of Michigan?
Yeah, well, for us, for Consumers Energy, we're saying our service territory, which is really the Lower Peninsula minus the Detroit area. That's DTE's territory. Not specific locations. We're not actually choosing this, but what we're saying is this is what the projections, this is what the market really is interested in doing. So you think about gas stations, big box retailers like Myers and Walmart's and Kroger's, and other locations along highways at rest areas or state campgrounds, for example. There's a lot of logical and easy locations that will be developed over the next few years, and we're going to be there to serve.
So you said you're not really deciding where they are located. Is that more of the actual companies who provide the charging stations?
Yeah, really, that's been our approach from day one, where we at Consumers Energy, we have dollars that we can offer to help get those chargers in place. We have some expertise. We can do some infrastructure work, get the wires in place.
Mm-hmm.
But we've seen all sorts of, again, shapes and sizes. Sometimes it's a community like a downtown development association that wants to have a draw for people to come there in their electric vehicles and know they can power up. again, sometimes it's gas stations making that transition. So we're going to be there to work with those who are interested. We have a lot of expertise that we can have to facilitate the process. But like a lot of things, we'll see what the market decides on those specific locations.
Sure. And Brian, I'm not sure if you saw our question of the day today. I'm going to pull it up on our screen now. So it says, should the state of Michigan spend more or less on EV infrastructure? A lot of people are voting spend less. So what do you have to say, or what would you want to say for those people who do think that the state shouldn't be spending as much money on EV infrastructure?
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting because you do certainly get into some policy decisions. I know there are political conversations about electric vehicles. From our perspective at Consumers Energy, we're working with customers. We know there's growing interest. We can sit there and do nothing to help that, but we know there'll be more EVs hitting the road across the state, and so we want to provide really the seamless transition to make that transformation happen. There are a lot of benefits from electric vehicles. This is a good change when it comes to protecting the planet, when it comes to affordability as more makes and models come available, maintenance and fueling costs are lower. So we'll put aside really the question of who pays the bill from, say, taxpayers' perspective, but there's a lot that is happening, and we're really enabling it to take place.
Mm-hmm. And I know in the past we have ran stories about the future of EVs and if Michigan residents are willing to make that transition, and if not, what's kind of holding them back. And a lot of people have said that the lack of infrastructure, especially up in northern Michigan, is one reason that they are a little hesitant to make the transition. So maybe with these 1,500 new fast charging public stations, maybe that could change some people's minds out there.
Yeah, I think what we're hoping to do is just really clarify things a little bit to show that the market is growing, the interest is there, and it's going to continue to be there. The numbers will only grow from here. And as we work toward those numbers, 500,000 or 1 million or more electric vehicles, there will have to be a need to charge them in public locations when drivers are on the move.
Mm-hmm.
We think the game plan's in place. We're laying the foundation for that change to happen. And we'll come back in 5 years, say, and see where we stand.
Well, Brian, thank you so much for joining us to talk a little bit more about what Consumers Energy is doing with these fast tracking charging stations. We really appreciate your time, and we are going to turn things over now. I know this is kind of a drastic transition, but we're going to go over to weather now. So let's bring in our chief meteorologist, Joe Charlevoix. Hey, Joe, sorry for that introduction. It was a little bumpy, but you're here now, and let's talk some weather.
Yeah, it was a little bumpy in weather today, too. In some spots, we had some stronger storms in a few areas earlier today. Let's start off, though, looking Gaylord. By the way, Maya, of course, they're getting ready for Alpenfest.
Mm-hmm.
Now, earlier, about an hour ago, it looked pretty dark here, pretty ominous, but we have a little bit of blue sky. That's a live look. If you look at the bottom of the screen, you can see some of the tents as they're getting ready there right downtown for some of the events for Alpenfest coming up. Let's go to radar. We do have a weak front crossing through, and that did kick off some showers and storms a little earlier. You can see a few of these. Nothing really widespread, but this storm here, I'm going to go back. Let me double click this once again. Go back over the last, I'll go back 2 hours. There we go. Computer's trying to catch up here. That storm there that went right over at Otsego Lake, you see the squares there with the trees knocked over icons. That was the storm that did produce some damage. We had reports at Otsego Lake, which is right there. There's Otsego Lake, of trees down, trees uprooted, power lines down, and also a tree down on a home there. And then also near Johannesburg, we had a report of some trees down or power lines down as well. That storm has weakened. I think there's probably still a little bit north of Hillman here. This little blotch of white, a little bit of near Royston, small hail probably with that. But these storms are weakening, and I think, Maya, as we go through tonight, we'll kind of take a look here. A lot of the storms will come to an end by, there's midnight, 1 o'clock, pretty quiet. Tomorrow, not a lot going on. Maybe a brief pop-up shower storm in the UP. Otherwise, just increasing clouds, and this is why. That's the remains of what was Hurricane Beryl. That'll come in here Wednesday with a little bit of rain, mainly south and east of Gaylord. Better chance for some rain, and that'll be during the day on Wednesday. Extended forecast kind of looks like this as we look ahead here. Pretty typical July weather, Maya. Nothing really too crazy. A couple showers with the remains of Beryl, what was Hurricane Beryl on Wednesday, but then kind of warm, mid and upper 80s, perhaps in some spots. Looks good Thursday, Friday. And the weekend looks pretty warm. One of those nice warm summer weekends, and maybe a pop-up shower or thunderstorm. But that's about it. So pretty typical July weather coming up here.
Can't complain with that.
No.
All right, thank you, Joe. We're going to take a break here on Up North Live Unscripted, but we'll check in with sports director Harrison Beebe right after the break. Stick around. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. Let's check in with sports director Harrison Beebe. He is live from the Content Center wearing orange and blue. Any reason for that, Harrison? We want to maybe talk about some Tiger news?
Well, orange is my favorite color, and blue is my favorite T-shirt color. But yeah, I mean, I guess we could talk about the Tigers while we're when I say T-shirt, dress shirt color.
Yeah.
I guess we could talk about the Tigers if you want. Maya Allie actually gave me permission. I'm going to give you a little pop quiz right now, okay?
Okay.
Name a Detroit Tiger All-Star in the last 10 years that is not Miguel Cabrera.
Not Miguel Cabrera. In the last 10 years. Okay, Justin Verlander.
In the last 10 years, no. Verlander has not been an All-Star since 2013.
Oh, gosh. All right.
It's kind of hard. No, it was going to be a kind of, I know you're a Tiger fan, but it is, there was one guy that made it 2 years in a row, 2 years ago and 3 years ago. Then besides that, it's just
well, this one have been 2 years and 3 years ago.
Been there twice.
Prince Fielder?
No, he's been gone for about 10 years as well.
Time is just flying.
Michael Lorenzen was last year. Cabrera 2 years ago with Gregory Soto. Gregory Soto was also in 2021. We had Shane Green in 2019. Joe Jimenez was a big selection. He's really good in the bullpen in 2018. And then 2017 is the last year that Miguel Cabrera was not involved in an all-star selection where the Tigers had 2 players. That was Michael Fulmer and Justin Upton. And that's the case this year. We have 2 Tiger all-stars going to the big Midsummer Classic. It'll be next week down in Arlington, Texas. That'd be Drake Skubal, who if you watched on Friday, we had a lengthy debate about what to do with him, trade him or keep him by the trade deadline here. And Riley Green also getting the nod to go to the all-star game. So both 2 Tiger first-timers going to the all-star festivities next week. So it should be pretty cool. The Tigers in a little bit of a down stretch, although they're coming off a series sweep of Cincinnati. The last time they swept a team this year. Maya, do you have a guess for that?
Yes, the Royals.
Incorrect. They actually have not swept a team since the Chicago White Sox in the opening weekend.
Wow.
So maybe they've won 3 of 4 against some teams. So maybe that's what you're thinking.
Maybe.
But
okay.
Yeah, swept a team since the White Sox.
I have to go study more Tigers trivia right now, so I need to take a break to do that.
I think you have a little more on your plate, and unfortunately, I have very little on my plate, so that's why I'm giving you the tough questions. But no pressure. I appreciate you participating.
Of course, Harrison. We'll see you tonight for Sports at 11, and we're going to take a short break, but we'll be right back. Thank you everyone so much for joining us on Up North Live Unscripted on this Monday evening. I hope your week is off to a great start, and we will see you back here tonight on Up North Live News at 11. Take care, everyone.